Hello. Welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy Escaping Amy's House. By Lacey Rice.
I raced down to the lake as I followed my two best friends, Amy and Elizabeth. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm, golden glow over the serene lake. The laughter of my two best friends, Amy and Elizabeth, echoed through the air as we raced towards the water, our anticipation building with each step. The lake, bordered by tall trees and kissed by the late afternoon sun, promised an afternoon of adventure and camaraderie. Amy, always the daredevil, led the charge, her wild curls bouncing with each energetic step. Elizabeth, the calm and collected one, followed closely behind. I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement as we approached the water's edge. The lake stretched out before us, its surface rippling with the promise of cool refreshment. Without a moment's hesitation, Amy kicked off her shoes and dove into the water, sending droplets glittering in the air. Elizabeth and I exchanged a glance before joining her in the aquatic escapade. The water embraced us, refreshing and invigorating, washing away the heat of the day. As I stood there, momentarily captivated by the scene unfolding before me, I couldn't help but appreciate the uniqueness of our trio. Amy, with her fearless spirit and boundless energy, epitomized the essence of a carefree summer day. Elizabeth, the epitome of calm and collected, brought a sense of balance to our little group. And then there was me, the lone boy in this dynamic duo of friendship. As Amy and Elizabeth splashed in the water, their laughter mingling with the gentle lapping of the lake, I couldn't suppress a grin. Despite our differences, we fit together like pieces of a puzzle, creating a mosaic of friendship that defied societal norms. The fact that I was the only boy in the group didn't matter. What mattered was the camaraderie we shared and the genuine bond that connected us. Curiosity pricked at my senses as I followed Amy's gaze toward her house. The distant hum of an approaching car drew my attention, and I turned around to see a vehicle winding down her street. The carefree atmosphere that had enveloped us at the lake suddenly shifted, and a subtle tension settled over our trio. Amy, still treading water, squinted against the sunlight, trying to get a better view of the approaching car. Elizabeth, too, glanced in the direction of Amy's house, a hint of concern creasing her brow. I felt a twinge of uncertainty, wondering what could be causing this abrupt change in mood. As the car drew nearer, I noticed a familiar figure behind the wheel. It was Amy's dad. Amy swam to the shore, her demeanor shifting from carefree to cautious. Elizabeth and I exchanged silent glances, both of us wondering about the sudden interruption. I began to walk to her, and she stopped me. "Matt, get further into the water," Amy warned as she got back to the beach where her beach bag was. "Why?" I asked. "Because I'm not allowed to have boys over here while Dad is gone. He is so going to kill me if he sees a boy over here." "Then what do you want me to do?" I asked, looking around. My normal clothes were up in Amy's bedroom. Amy looked at me and then back over to the house. Amy's dad was about to get to her driveway, but the good news was that he was still too far away to see us down at the lake. Amy smiled as she came up with her plan. She dug into her bag and grabbed out a blue girl's one-piece swimsuit and threw it in the water near me. "Put it on," Amy yelled at me. "But it's for girls," I protested. "It's either you become a girl long enough to get your stuff and go, or get caught as a boy and my dad will ground me." I hesitated, looking between the one-piece swimsuit floating in the water and Amy's worried expression. The absurdity of the situation dawned on me, and I couldn't help but chuckle nervously. "Are you serious?" Amy nodded, urgency in her eyes. "Dead serious, Matt. Just put it on, grab your stuff from my room, and we'll figure this out later. Please, for the sake of our friendship." Feeling a mix of amusement and a touch of apprehension, I waded over to the one-piece swimsuit bobbing in the water. I picked it up, examining its vibrant blue fabric. It was undoubtedly meant for a girl, with its sleek design and thin straps, but the absurdity of the moment made me go along with Amy's plan. I reluctantly took off my swim trunks, and pulled the swimsuit on. Amy and Elizabeth turned away, trying to stifle their laughter. I couldn't help but join in, the situation too surreal to take entirely seriously. Once dressed, I looked back at Amy, who was motioning for me to hurry. "Okay, now swim to the shore. Your longish hair should keep Dad from knowing that you are really a boy. Plus, he's never met you before, so you should be safe once you're in. Just, act natural, Amy instructed with a mischievous grin. With a theatrical sigh, I swam to the shore, where Amy promptly wrapped a towel around my shoulders. The three of us tried to stifle our laughter, aware of the absurdity of the situation. Elizabeth, grinning, couldn't resist taking a quick snapshot on her phone, capturing the moment for posterity. The three of us headed to Amy's house as Amy's dad walked inside. My legs were now bare, and the swimsuit felt weird around me. I looked over at Amy, who was also wearing a one-piece swimsuit. She seemed not to mind the fact that it was clinging to her, or the fact that her legs were exposed. Elizabeth wore a bikini, and I was glad that she didn't have that in her bag originally. As we entered Amy's house, the air carried a mix of laughter and anticipation. The swimsuit clung to me in an unfamiliar way, a stark contrast to the usual attire I would don for a casual lake day. Amy and Elizabeth seemed unfazed by their swimwear. The girls were clearly more accustomed to the feeling. Amy led us through the house with casual grace, her demeanor suggesting that this wasn't the first time she'd navigated such a situation. We reached her room without encountering her dad, who was likely occupied elsewhere in the house. We got into Amy's room, and I quickly grabbed my stuff from her room. Great, we'll keep Dad distracted. You just get changed and head out the same way you came in. Amy said. I nodded. But before Amy and Elizabeth could leave, Amy's dad knocked on Amy's door. Amy's eyes widened, a moment of panic flashing across her face. Elizabeth and I exchanged a nervous glance, realizing the delicate nature of the situation. Amy's dad's voice came from the other side of the door. Amy, is everything okay in there? Amy responded quickly, her voice carrying a hint of casual nonchalance. Oh, yeah, Dad. Just talking to Elizabeth about our plans for later. Everything's fine. There was a brief pause before Amy's dad spoke again. I thought I saw three of you. Did you bring another friend over? Amy looked at me, then grabbed my clothes from me. Sorry, she whispered. Amy opened the door to her room just enough that her dad could see me and Elizabeth. All three of us were still in our swimsuits. Dad, this is Amber. She's new to our school. I invited her over to swim in the lake. Amy lied. Amy's dad looked at me and Elizabeth, a slightly puzzled expression on his face. Oh, nice to meet you, Amber. You're more than welcome to join us for dinner tonight. We're having spaghetti. I began to say no thank you, but Amy stopped me. She would love to, Dad. I nodded, trying to maintain a casual demeanor despite the unusual circumstances. Did Amy just say that I'll stay for dinner? I thought the mission was to get me out of the house as fast as possible. Amy's dad gave a brief smile before heading back down the hallway. Amy quickly shut the door, her eyes wide with a mixture of relief and amusement. Elizabeth couldn't hold back a giggle, and I joined in, the tension from the close call dissipating. Amber, huh? I teased Amy, a grin playing on my lips. Amy rolled her eyes, a playful smirk on her face. Well, I had to come up with something on the spot. It was the first name that popped into my head. I grabbed my clothes again, but Amy just took them and stashed them in her closet. What are you doing? I asked. My dad thinks you're coming to dinner, and he will expect you to be Amber. I looked at Amy in disbelief, realizing the unexpected turn of events. The idea of staying for dinner as someone else, especially as a girl, added another layer of absurdity to the already unconventional day. Are you serious? I asked, trying to keep my voice down to avoid being overheard. Amy giggled a little, her eyes gleaming mischievously. Dead serious, Matt. It's the perfect cover. You'll leave after dinner, and my dad won't have a clue. Plus, it'll make for an epic story. Elizabeth, still suppressing giggles, nodded in agreement. Yeah, it's kind of brilliant. Just go along with it, Matt. It's all good fun. And what am I supposed to wear? I asked, holding up my arms. Just this swimsuit? Amy smiled at Elizabeth, and both nodded in unison. I can't speak girl speak, but I knew that they were formulating a plan in their head. You won't be wearing a girl's swimsuit, Amy said casually, going to her closet. I began to feel a little bit better, but then Amy took out a pink sundress out of her closet. You will be wearing this dress instead. I stared at the pink sundress in Amy's hands, feeling a mix of disbelief and amusement. The day had taken an unexpected turn, evolving from a carefree lake adventure into a full-fledged undercover operation. Wearing a girl's swimsuit was one thing, but donning a pink sundress for dinner was an entirely different level of absurdity. A dress? I exclaimed, trying to wrap my head around the situation. Amy and Elizabeth exchanged mischievous glances before bursting into laughter. Come on, Matt, Amy teased, it's all in good fun. Just think of it as a part of the adventure. With a sigh and a reluctant smile, I accepted the pink sundress. I really didn't have a choice. It was either pretend to be a girl, or to be discovered at get Amy into trouble. I sighed and Amy handed it to me, and I hesitated for a moment before reluctantly agreeing to go along with the plan. I couldn't help but shake my head at the surreal turn of events. One more thing, Amy said, going to her dresser. She opened the top drawer and grabbed a pair of girls' underwear from it. I stared at the girls' underwear in Amy's hands, my eyes widening in disbelief. The absurdity of the situation reached new heights. Amy and Elizabeth were clearly committed to their plan, turning a seemingly normal afternoon at the lake into an unexpected adventure. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered, a mix of amusement and incredulity in my voice. Amy chuckled, seemingly unfazed by the incredulous expression on my face. It's all part of the disguise, Matt. Just for the evening. Besides, it'll add authenticity to the story. Elizabeth, still amused, added, think of it as the finishing touch. You'll thank us later for the memories. I shook my head, resigned to the fact that there was no turning back now. Taking the underwear from Amy, I hesitated for a moment before letting out a resigned sigh. Fine, let's get this over with. I went into Amy's closet and took off the swimsuit. I grabbed the underwear and put it on, trying to tell myself that these were just boys' briefs, and that they were no different from the ones that I used to wear before switching to boxers. I then took a deep breath and put on the sundress. I looked down as the fabric of the dress swayed around my legs. I didn't have a mirror, but I could imagine that I looked way too much like a girl. When I emerged, Amy and Elizabeth erupted into laughter once again. The dress was a bit too small for me, and the sight of a guy in an ill-fitting pink sundress seemed to be the highlight of their day. Amy composed herself long enough to say, "You look fabulous, Matt. Dad won't suspect a thing." Elizabeth, still giggling, added, "Honestly, you might pull it off better than I imagined." With my dignity momentarily set aside, I followed Amy and Elizabeth to the dinner table, where Amy's dad greeted us with a warm smile. The spaghetti dinner unfolded with an extra serving of laughter, and I couldn't help but appreciate the absurdity of the situation. As the evening progressed, I navigated the dinner table with a sense of humor, embracing the unexpected role of Amber for the sake of preserving the secrecy of our lake adventure. Amy's dad, oblivious to the gender-bending charade, shared stories and laughter, completely unaware that his daughter's friend was, in fact, a guy wearing a pink sundress and girls' underwear. Throughout the meal, Amy and Elizabeth exchanged subtle glances, reveling in the success of their impromptu plan. Despite the surreal circumstances, the atmosphere was surprisingly lighthearted, with each burst of laughter weaving an invisible thread that strengthened the bonds of our friendship. As the spaghetti dinner reached its conclusion, Amy's dad extended an invitation for Amber to join them for future gatherings. My eyes met Amy's, and we both suppressed a giggle, knowing that this was a secret we would treasure for years to come. Amy assured her dad that Amber would love to join them again, and as we bid him farewell, we finally released the pent-up laughter that had been building throughout the evening. Amy's dad announced that he was going to his office, and he will be working for a few hours. I knew that this was going to be the perfect moment for me to escape. Back in Amy's room, with me back in my boy clothes, we erupted into a fit of uncontrollable laughter. The absurdity of the situation, the unexpected role-playing, and the sheer audacity of our impromptu plan had turned a casual lake day into an unforgettable adventure. "Matt, you're a legend," Elizabeth declared between laughs. I rolled my eyes, a grin playing on my lips. "Can we please never speak of this again? I don't think I can handle being known as the guy who wore a pink sundress for dinner." Amy wiped away tears of laughter, still beaming at the success of the ruse. "Oh, come on, Matt. This is the stuff legendary friendships are made of. You'll thank us for this someday." Despite my protests, deep down, I knew they were right. Amy quietly escorted me out of her house, and I was able to leave without getting caught by Dad.